After a couple of delayed and cancelled flights, we finally arrived in Cusco, and I stayed in this place just for one night's accommodation. It was around about $32 a night, including breakfast, which was okay. The breakfast wasn't really the greatest, but for $32 a night, you can't really complain. But we started off the day walking to the main square where all the tourists are. You'll be stopped by a lot of people trying to sell you cool little trinkets and stuff, but I didn't want to buy anything until my last day. But I had a few little things that I needed to do in the town before we started our tour that was at 1 o'clock. Had to first of all get an SIM card for my phone so I was able to communicate over WhatsApp and stuff like that. And I also forgot to bring a thermal shirt with me, so I only brought one puffer jacket on this trip, and I was like, oh, got to bring something else a little bit warmer because it's going to be a little bit chilly on the hikes. So yeah, just spent a little bit of time walking around the main square, had lunch at the Inca Grill, which I can 10 out of 10 recommend, and yeah, got a little SIM card for my phone, which only worked out to be like 30 sols or something like that. And we started off the day going to Sakwase Woman, which they tell you to remember the name like sexy woman, because Sakwase means zigzag and curves. And you know, a sexy woman's got some curves, so that's the name of this place. It also has one of the largest stones placed by the Incas as well, which was pretty cool. Here the altitude wasn't too bad, but walking up these flight of stairs I definitely did feel just a teeny tiny little bit out of breath, but it was definitely worth it to walk up here so you can see those zigzag formations of Sakwase Woman. So this piece of paper that you see me getting stamped off at all of the locations I'm visiting is called a tourist ticket, and it costs about 130 sols and you're able to visit 16 locations. So if you don't pay for the tourist ticket, each individual location is around 40 sols each, so after you visited a few places it pretty much pays for itself. So used the tourist tickets for the 2 days before we got to our hike, and then also used it the 2 days after finishing our hike, which worked out perfect, fitted in those 10 days. And the only other ticket that I had to pay for was at the end of today's tour. We did Coricancha, which was an extra 20 sols, which adds up to pretty much nothing, so I was happy to pay for that. And these beds that you can see here with the coca leaves on them used to be where they used to sacrifice small children, and also to the left they used to sacrifice some alpacas and llamas. But these were all very positive things and the kids were all very willing to sacrifice themselves. It was an honor to sort of do these things, so it was cool being able to go with a tour guide and him explain all of this to us, and you sort of learn about their culture and why they decided to do all these things. It's obviously a lot different to the culture that we live in back home. Where we're visiting currently consists of a series of aqueducts and waterfalls that create this natural spring water fountain that has been running for hundreds of years. These natural springs were channeled through 3 waterfalls that still flow today, and the water that comes out of these fountains are considered to be sacred.
I have found that.
Pucara is an old military fortress that is obviously ruins now. So around about 500 years ago the Spanish invaded and unfortunately destroyed a lot of the architecture. But here you can see on the far left is the original Inca stone placements where there's no mortar and the gaps are pretty much invisible, while on the right hand side you'll see mortar and larger gaps between the stones. So it's been repaired at some point in its life. It also has a great view down the valley, so I think that's why it was an important point for military, but also just in its later years I think it became a bit more of a viewing point, and the mountains there were also really beautiful as well. If there's one thing that I highly recommend doing in your time in Cusco is going to an authentic alpaca and llama farm. This was probably like the best day for me. I love animals and it was so cool being able to go feed them. There was no limit on how much food, you could just keep on grabbing like the grass and they kept on eating, so that was pretty cool. You also
also have one of the local guys there come and explain all the differences in the alpacas and the llamas and their furs. Like, we did spend a fair good time here. You just really got to enjoy the culture, and it was good being able to pat them and feed them, because we ended up going to 2 alpaca places and this one definitely was a lot cooler. They also show you as well making the dyes and all that sort of stuff. So you'll see there's like a little bug that lives on the cactus. I forgot its name, but it's white, and they just squish it, and it is the blood that creates the red dye color, but it stains, so they use that, and then they sometimes put a couple of drops of lime in it as well, and that helps change the color, so you get a few different variations of red as well. But I just enjoyed these guys a lot because they really did explain in depth everything, and I feel like I learned a lot from the process of creating the dyes to them shaving the alpacas and the llamas and what fur's good for what. You know, baby alpacas are the most expensive fur, like their first shave, because it's so soft and fluffy and it never gets replicated again after that. But they also really showed in depth them weaving and creating everything, which was cool. And then they have an awesome shop that they sell all the authentic alpaca stuff at. It is obviously a lot more expensive because it's real alpaca. Didn't end up buying anything from this place in particular, but if you are wanting to buy anything alpaca, it is not from the street vendors, it's through one of these alpaca farms, and they show you the differences between, you know, the Chinese knockoffs and the real authentics. So highly recommend going there, especially if you're wanting to get true alpaca stuff. And to the end of the day, we went to Coricancha. So this was the one that I said cost 20 sols, which works out to be barely nothing. But look at the lines between these stones. Like, you could not replicate that nowadays. And this tiny little block here is the smallest stone that the Incas ever put into one of their buildings. So we seen one of the biggest today, and we also seen the smallest, and they touch it as a form of good luck. So that's why it's got like a little bit of wear on it. And then here I think was really one of the only places that we seen what the blocks actually look like. So the way that they're able to create it so seamlessly without using any mortar, it's sort of like Lego bricks. So it was cool being able to see that.
Day 2, we ended up waking up nice and early because we were heading a few hours out of Cusco to visit all the places that we were doing on our full day tour. And one of the places that was cool to just drive past quickly was the local markets, which is cool seeing where all the locals gather their supplies and sort of how they live, because outskirts of Cusco are very different to the touristy sort of section. So it was cool being able to see this, but it was a big day with a lot of driving.
For washing the wool or for dirty wool, we use the hot water or the warm water. And also for washing, we use this root. Do you know yucca or yaca? It's similar, this root. The yaca is for eat, this yaca is only for washing. Yeah? The Quechua name is sartana or sachaparacay. This is the natural detergent, it's natural soap. Yeah? And also the natural root is used for body, for clothing. This root prevents gray hair. In this community, the people, we don't have gray hair because we use only this root. We don't use the chemical shampoo. If you gray hair, it's too late. Sorry. Too late. Yeah. Because the root we use very young, yeah? Don't say any years old. The wool we wash in many times for water. Then drying the sun, the color is permanent. You can see all the yards from different natural plants and also from different color. We make different products in alpaca, baby alpaca. And also for weaving, we use different tools. For example, this tool is from the eucalyptus wood. The principal wood tool is this one. Because my friends, we prepared the 2 people or 3 people in for the crows. Because the blankets, the table runner, that design is reversible, both sides. We machine make is one size, yeah? Also, the different colors represent the cereal, mineral, the different product of chinchero. For example, the green color represent the coca leaves. The red color represent the Andean cereal we call this kiwi or quinoa. The yellow color represents the father sun, the white color represents the mountains, and also the black color is the most important for chinchero because represents the mother earth Pachamama.
Ollantaytambo is known as the living Inca city, as it is the only Inca town that is still inhabited, and it's located in the Sacred Valley, which is about an hour and a half drive from Cusco city. While walking the streets of Ollantaytambo or Cusco itself, you'll notice quite a fair few of these double jammed doorways, which is a sign of importance, or it was the home of a very important person. Many of these doorways just lead to everyday normal people's homes, but it's cool to think that many years ago that somebody very significant and important used to live there. And from the streets you get a pretty good view of the terraces that you'll be climbing up, and although the elevation here is quite low, it's a lot lower than Cusco. After walking up quite a fair few flights of these stairs, you do end up feeling a little bit out of breath, but obviously it's nothing like the salkantay trek that we'll be doing, but you can see there was very many stairs. Also, a lot of the terraces were used for farming, as a way to farm on the mountainside. Obviously there wasn't a lot of flat ground, but they would build these terraces. The architecture that went into this place was insane. It obviously took very many years because you can see how large it is. So the further you go up the terraces, you sort of see a change in the construction, because there ended up being multiple people in charge of the architecture throughout the year. But you'll also notice that the place was never fully finished before the Spanish invaded, so you'll see a few boulders and rocks throughout the place that have been cut and carried up all the terraces but hasn't been placed in the correct location. So it's pretty cool to sort of see the building aspect of it too. You will also notice quite a fair few stones that were never finished, so they still have handles on them that the people used to lift up and place, but they hadn't been ground down flat like you see in all of the other ruins.
They also had another eternal fountain here that has been running for hundreds of years. That is all the melted water that comes from the snow-capped mountains. And where I'm zooming into at the moment, you'll see there's a bunch of little holes in the side of the mountain, or they're not really technically that small, but they're all tombs and graves. So the whole sort of cliff face is scattered in these tombs, which unfortunately when the Spanish invaded, they obviously looted it all, but there would have been a lot of gold and a lot of cool artifacts, like very important things that were buried with people of importance. But it was quite good here. The elevation was quite high. I think it's the highest that I've been at so far. It was extremely windy, so although it's not really that cold during the day, there are quite a fair few places that we visited where the wind was very strong, and I probably would have froze to death if I didn't have my jumper with me. So highly recommend packing your jumper with you when you're traveling to these places. So the bed's a little bit of a mess at the moment. I'm just packing what I'm taking on my backpack because we're starting the trek tomorrow. We're being picked up at 3:50 in the morning, which sounds delightful, especially because I spent all last night with a terrible headache. I think that the altitude sort of got to me. Like, I'm struggling breathing if I'm like climbing up a lot of stairs, but as it is just like walking around and stuff, no, I'm like totally fine.
but I do seem to have like a fair bit of a headache going on. And then yeah, at about 4 o'clock in the morning, I ended up throwing up. So that wasn't really the greatest, but I was in the middle of the night, I kept on like drinking water because, you know, I was trying to stay hydrated. And when I threw up, I pretty much just threw up all the water. So at least it was a nice, easy throw up. But yeah, I think I got a little bit of altitude sickness, so I've taken some tablets and stuff, and hopefully like I'm feeling a little bit better now. But yeah, so I'm just packing at the moment. I'm taking my puffer jacket. Part of the Salkantay trek, they give you some walking sticks, or I mean, not walking sticks, they give you hiking sticks as well, so you've got that. I've got a little bit burnt the last few days, like, I don't know if you can like really see it on me at the moment. So I've got like some sunscreen as well, which I put a fair bit on today, but I like still ended up getting a little bit burnt. With my watch, it said that we climbed about 60 steps today, like about 60 floors of steps. So yeah, we've done that. And then we've got a map here of what we're doing. But yeah, pretty much in my backpack, I've got 3 liters of water in like a camelback sort of thing. And then I've got like another ½ liter in water, which is making the bag very heavy. So we'll see how that goes. So yeah, we're getting picked up, and then that's a couple hours drive, and then we'll have breakfast. I've also got like some protein cookies and some like gels and stuff like that, which I'll take. But yeah, I'm packing really light. They've got a duffel bag that they'll take some of like my clothes up in, so I won't see these till the end of the night. So I'm pretty much just like putting that in there, like it's just my clothes. And yeah, just taking like a jumper with me, an extra long sleeve. Got a hat, so hopefully I don't get as much burn. Yeah, taking plenty of water, and I'm just very nervous about the altitude sickness. So I'm gonna keep on taking the tablets, gonna take the coca, like tea, and there's like coca lollies and stuff like that. Yeah, so tomorrow entails, it says about a 2 hour and 15-minute drive to Molapata, and then from there we'll have breakfast, and then another hour drive. We'll be dropped off at Chalachancha, which is where the trekking start begins. About 3 hours of hiking, or 7 kilometers of hiking till you get to the sky camp, which is super cool. Like, that's one thing I'm dying for. I think he also said it's only about like 40 minutes uphill or something, and then the rest is like fairly flat, like just a little bit uphill, so like it's not too bad. And then from there we go to Humanité Lake, which is 1.5 kilometers there and 1.5 kilometers back, but apparently that's a little bit killer, so that ends up taking you to 4,200 meters, which is a fair bit. That'll be the highest I've been so far. So in Cusco at the moment it's 3,400, and I'm feeling a little bit of the altitude sickness. The sky camp tomorrow will be 3,900 meters, so another 500 meters higher than where we're at right now. But then the real challenge will be the day after, when we do the Salkantay Pass, which that gets to 4,600 meters. So that will be a very big day. And that one also has like quite a fair bit of hiking. I think it's like 7 kilometers to the actual pass. And then, what is it, another 15 kilometers back down to our accommodation. So that'll be a very big day. So tomorrow and the day after are going to be killer days. Yeah. So let's see how we go tomorrow. My fingers are crossed. It's just like the only thing I'm really nervous about is the altitude sickness. And then we'll see how we go, like actually climbing up. Because yeah, we did like 60 flight of stairs today, which is quite a fair bit, but that was like spread out the whole day, not in one go. And you know, like you do start puffing after doing maybe like 4 or 5 sort of climbs of stairs. So yeah, it's good to just take a little break, but gonna stay very hydrated, got a lot of water. Yeah, fingers are crossed, and I'll see you tomorrow.